what to do for this evening. Then I'll go back to the tent and come back out about 1 o'clock. Actually got bought out, kept the same name, new owner, and they stopped making videos. 19 was the last one. So now none of you will ever do anything like this. Put two wall tents together and put a giant tarp over top of them so you don't have to take them down in the winter. Welcome to Time by the Tent. Another hunting weekend here up at the land. Welcome to late season Muzzleloader Camp in 2024. I've had since last Saturday when I left and got that spiked buck during firearm season. We've had about 2.5 to 3 inches of snow, and before I leave today or this weekend, I'm going to have to put up the tarp from tarps.com to overwinter the tent. It'll look like an A-frame and it'll be pegged down on both sides. The tent will be in the center, and you can see the wire there, the cable. It's not square with the world because the tent wasn't put in that way, but we'll have enough of a slope on both sides to keep the snow off the tent, and then I'll put all the supporting posts in, assuming I do harvest an animal this weekend, and basically hunting will be done for this year. 2 Ozark Trail wall tents here, down and give you an idea. About 3 inches of snow, and that's about all she's going to hold. When you go on the inside, and I'll show you, it has pushed down. That's what those posts there are for, are going to be a ridge post, and then post that will go in between each rafter. It'll be, you know, here, and it'll push up. But you can see it's got a bow in it, and it's sagged down about two inches. Back there, that's what I'll have all down the center, is those ridge posts. So that is to do, but first it is to try to harvest an antlerless only deer with my CVA 50 caliber muzzleloader and kick off and complete muzzleloader season successfully. I will see you in the stand. It is currently 20 degrees outside, 45 in the tent. I have my propane heater on. I'm going to get the stove going, and then I forgot to take home my thermos and tumbler. I don't think I'm going to need that. It's you probably won't be able to see it. It's 1:45 to 2, 20 to 2, and it gets dark. End of hunting's like 4:25, so I don't think I'm going to use that tonight. I'll clean that out tonight for tomorrow morning if need. If you followed along last week's video, second weekend of deer camp, very cold, something like that, what is the title? I had mentioned at the end that the forecast for tonight and this weekend was going to be just as bitterly cold as last weekend. Last weekend when I harvested that spike, it was 9 degrees with a wind chill of -6. 8 degrees the previous night. It was supposed to be 8 degrees the next night, Saturday night, but I didn't stay Saturday. Tonight's supposed to be the coldest at 15. It's currently 20 right now. And then tomorrow, it's supposed to be like 38 and 20 for a low, and then Sunday 36 and 31, 32 for a low. But I will be leaving Sunday afternoon, and putting up the possibly putting up the tarp if I don't get anything for the overwintering. If I do get something, I will put it up guaranteed. If I don't get something, then possibly I will come up next Friday and Saturday for antlerless only statewide hunt and try to harvest something with a muzzleloader. That catches you all up to date for those who may not have caught the previous episode or 2 episodes, which are both linked, Deer Camp and Deer Camp Second Weekend, in the comments or in the description below. Heading out to the stand on this 4-wheeler trail, all kinds of tracks leading up to where I go in the woods. Multiple different species, it looks like. had over 6 inches of snow on it and ice. And I've done all I can to get it clean, but every time I move it cracks and pops on the ice and snow. So I brought my heavy jacket out. And I threw my heavy jacket on the platform itself. So I can position my feet if I need to get a shot around behind me. And it'll limit the sound I make. Back at camp, didn't see anything. I heard, whenever I was getting ready, I heard one shot that way, and then got my corn dogs and a piece of fried chicken warming up on the stove. And then I heard one distinct shot that really sounded like a muzzleloader, because there are other things that are open for hunting where I've heard a couple of boom, 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 boom type of things. But there was another shot that was distinct muzzleloader. Went back to that stand, and just because I hadn't been back there for a long time, definitely will be going over to this blind in the morning. I chose that stand simply because it was going to be a mess, and there was about 6 inches of snow on that platform, and that's why I put my jacket down on it to keep the crack and pop of the snow underneath my boots, and it worked really well. But just there was nothing there. There was tracks then and that all around in specific areas, but all the tracks I've seen have had like little snow pellets inside them, so it has snowed since I've walked through. It snowed on Tuesday. Tuesday evening, I think it was. And this tent, like I showed you, about 3 inches of puffy light snow was all this tent was going to hold. And I've not took the snow off. I've left the snow on as an insulation. Now, all around this tent, you can hear it's dripping because it's 49 in here right now. I've got both the stove and the heater going. I'll turn the heater off in a minute, but I'm going to stoke the stove, get it nice and warm in here, and then by the time I put that tarp up, this will all be melted off. But there was no sense of knocking the snow off and doing that when it's going to melt off, and also snow is an insulating material. So that's that. Again, 3 corn dogs and a piece of fried chicken for supper. Other than that, I'm going to get the DVD player going, and Real Tree, Monster Bucks, 10, 11, 13. I was watching 12 last week. I've watched 10, 11, 12, and I think, did I watch 13? Or is this did I not grab one? I think I've watched these. I don't know. I'll have to go back and, I think, yeah, I watched this last week. I didn't bring, I got different ones here. Oh, I've got Monster Bucks 6 on VHS that I didn't watch a couple of weeks ago during deer camp, so I can watch that. Alright, I will get back to you in a little while. Not much has happened. Had corn dogs and fried chicken for supper. Just been trying to keep warm. Most of the snow has melted off the roof, so that saved me from having to do that. And having that snow on the roof made it really chilly in here. I thought it would keep it warm, and it didn't. Now that the snow's off, I've got it up to 67 in here, and it's quite comfortable. I've got all that to deal with, but that's going to be, most of that's just hunting stuff. Got boots hung up, socks drying, the coat I used on the bottom of the tree stand, watching just because it's on college football. And I will see you in the ground blind tomorrow morning. .45. Haven't seen anything. I did hear one shot fairly close. That's all I've heard this morning. High of 38 today. I can tell it's getting warmer. When I came here, the rear of the gun in the snow, and all these little indents were full of snow. Now they're all melting away. We're at about 31, 32, 33, somewhere in that range. Gonna sit here a little while longer and then determine what to do. The sun came out just for a few moments. Just about 11:30. I'm going to get out of the stand and walk this logging road to the other side of the property where that pallet stand or pallet blind is, and just look at, see what tracks. There's quite a bit of tracks over in this area. See if there's any tracks over there. There's some red pine in that area, and see if they're bedding up over there. If there's a lot of tracks, maybe I'll go to that blind tonight. If there's not, I would come back to this one. Not sure yet what to do for this evening. Then I'll go back to the tent, and then come back at about 1 o'clock. Did a walk around the property, or high end of the property. I'll show you on the map here. I'm right there. That's where I've killed the last 2 deer out in the last week. And then I walked down here and then back over to where the tent is. And definitely over in this area there's a lot of tracks. Over here, very minimal tracks. So I'll go back to that stand that I was in just a few minutes. It's noon now. It gets dark. I think legal hunting time's like 4:45-ish. Something like that. I'll confirm that when I get in the blind again. But ran out of drink. So a cappuccino, used all of that up. So I'm just going to take a small jug of water. And then I've got a sandwich already made from last night. Drying out a couple of socks here. And then I'll head back out. Very nice day. A little windy. Other than that, very nice day. So I need to be out in the stand because time is running out for opportunity to take a third and final to fill the tag up. A little after 1 o'clock, back in the same blind. See if we can make anything happen this evening. Didn't see anything. Sat in that stand from about 7 o'clock this morning to about 11:30, and then from 1 o'clock to 4:45. Heard one shot that was, I would distinctly say, was a muzzleloader. Other than that, no other the camera on the it's 80 yards from that stand around the curve on the logging road didn't go off on anything. And the one in the center of the property that I hunted in yesterday evening, nothing triggered that camera. A lot more tracks over on this side of the property than the other side. Much more enjoyable setting at 40 degrees and real feel of 33 than last Saturday morning when it was 9 degrees and real feel -6. And I thought, boy, today would be just a really good day. The deer would be moving. It's nice and mild out. But then I thought, well, last week it was 9 degrees and -6 wind chill, and that spike buck was moving around. So that theory really didn't pan out. I'll figure out what I'm going to have for supper, and then I'm going to go back out to that stand in the morning and then determine if I don't get one, if I'm going to come back up next weekend for antlerless only weekend, which I can use the muzzleloader for, or just put the tarp up, overwinter the tent, and be done. So we'll figure that out. Appreciate you coming along. Do you muzzleloader hunt? Let me know in the comments what state you muzzleloader hunt in. For supper, nothing fancy. Baked beans warming up. I use the Ruffle potato chips and dip those in. That's good. Then I've got some potato salad and a couple of hard-boiled eggs. And then if I'm still hungry, I'll find something else. There's not a, I'm not going to go, I've got 2 deer burgers, but I don't want to go out and dig the fire pit out and cook them there. I don't want to cook them in here and infuse some of the tent with some meat smell, because in the spring we've got bear in the area, and I don't know if that'll linger or not, but it's not a big deal. So this will work fine. This is fine. Then tomorrow I can possibly get the campfire going out there and cook a deer burger up. That's pretty much going to do it for the evening. There's not a whole lot of excitement there, and I'm sure you don't tune into the videos to see what I'm eating at camp either. So I guess unless something crazy happens, which I certainly hope it doesn't, I will see you in the morning in that deer blind again, and we'll go for the first half of the day and then come back and evaluate what move is best to be made. And for tonight, I'll be watching Primetime Bucks 4 from H&S, or Hunter Specialty. Now, from my understanding, I don't have Volume 1 or Season 1 or Volume 1 and Volume 2. I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7 through 12 is on DVD. And then they only made up to 19, and from my understanding, what research I've done is Hunter Specialty got bought out, kept the same name, new owner, and they stopped making videos. 19 was the last one, so interesting fun fact there. Real nice morning. No wind. About 35 degrees. There's a storm coming in this afternoon, possibly some rain, snow mix. I don't know if that'll stir anything up or not, but we'll sit here for 2-3 hours. And maybe we'll come home with a deer. A little after 11. Haven't seen anything. It's been dead quiet, no wind at all. Couple of squirrels, couple of birds. I would think I would be able to hear anything walking through the woods a substantial way. Because we've had it melted yesterday and then it froze, so there's a crust over the snow. Just nothing. Didn't hear, I've heard a couple gunshots, but they weren't muzzleloaders because it was repetitive shots. So I've got a trail camera down there that I'm going to go down and pull, because tomorrow is the end of its subscription. And I've suspended the service because there's no sense paying another $5 for a month when it's only going to get used for another 5 days. And then I'll go to the other side, that property, the middle of the property, the stand that I was hunting on Friday afternoon. Take my gun, walk over there in case maybe I get a shot at something through the woods, and pull that trail camera, same reason. Then we'll head back to the tent. I'm going to start overwintering the tent by putting the tarp up over the guide wire. I'll explain all that whenever I get there. Got some winter weather mix moving in this afternoon, not going to accumulate to anything. Or not much is what they're projecting. Man. Last 2 weeks we've been successful. This week I haven't seen anything. Well, the last 2 weeks only saw 1 deer each. I know there's deer out here. There's a lot of tracks. I just don't know where they're at, and I can't just, oh, there's a deer, shoot at it. I've got to be very careful with it, because I got to make sure it's an antlerless only. So that is where we're at. This is our 2-tent combo, 2 Ozark Trail wall tents. The back is a 10 by 20. The front is the original 10 by 12. And we've got a 3/16 by 100 foot cable, which only runs about 73 foot, and wire clamps on the far end back there to house the tarp in which we're going to put up so we don't have to take this tent down. I did not want to cut the cable, so I just wrapped the extra around the tree, and then I've got 3, 4, 5 wire clamps there. I think that's what they're called. And then the hose is circumferencing the wire, so when we put the tarp up, it doesn't wear through the tarp and collapse the tarp onto the tent. Last year, we only had the front tent, the 10 by 12, or the 12 by 10. And at the end of gun season for deer, I took everything out of the tent and put it in 2 dumpster bags, vinyl or canvas dumpster bags, encapsulated them, put a tarp over top of it, and left the framework on the ground. Then we came back in March and put it up, and then we didn't return for a month because of cold temperatures. In between that, in that month, we had a pretty substantial snowstorm. Our neighbor, Northwoods Dream, Dan, came over and knocked the snow off this tent here to keep it from collapsing. Now, as you saw at the beginning of this video, we had about 3 inches of snow on both tents when I came up here on Friday, and that was about the maximum of this light, fluffy snow that we have here. The tents really had a bow in the rafters. Didn't damage anything. But I didn't want to take down 2 tents this year and buy more dumpster bags and then put everything back up. So since we put the tent up in April, I've been trying to figure out a way in which we can overwinter the tents, because at some point there'll be a hard structure here at outbuilding where this is not going to be a concern. So we came up with this concept. We're running a cable up there, back to there. It's not straight with the tent, but it will serve its purpose. And then inside the tent, down the center, will be ridge poles, and in between each rafter there will be a post or a pole that will push up on the material, roofing material, that between each rafter here. There's the rafter, and then there'll be a post or a stick that will push up to take the weight off the rafters. So I reached out to tarps.com, and they were more than happy to help with this project. Now, if you need a tarp of any size, any color, any thickness, tarps.com is the place to go. They've got a variety of different applications in which you can utilize tarps, and I'll talk more about what they offer in a little bit. Now, since I am going to be up here next week, the job of today is to get the tarp up. The tarp is 40 by 40. What I've got here is 32, and I want the tarp is going to act as an A-frame to shed snow off on both sides. It may pile on the tarp, but it will keep the weight off the frame of the tent, preventing the tent from collapsing. I've got a silver tarp and plenty of tent pegs and stakes and long nails to fasten it to the ground. So I've thought about this in my head a lot over the last 6-7 months, and I'll use a quote from Jay in the Woods. It works in my head, now I just got to make it work. Paraphrasing, I got to make it work in reality here. Here is the tarp, 40 by 40 silver tarp. That is 68 pounds. So I'm going to unravel it and then work it up the ladder to get it over the wire and then feed it over, and then I can work with it more easily. Okay, so I had it up there, you saw, and the way it was folded in on itself and then wrapped in itself again. So there was no way I was going to be able to unfold it up there the way I had it. So I dropped it back down, unraveled it. Now I should be able to do what I need to do very easily get it fed up and then pull it across and start pinning it down. Let's see if that will work. So I have got it draped on the cable. I've not got it fastened down. I pulled the top chimney stack off with a cap that was attached to it and just laid it on the tent. It's cold. So now I'm going to start at the front and start working my way back to where I'm fastening it down, stretching it, getting it even on both sides, make this all work. I've got to pull the front farther. I got to pull it farther here. It's pulled too far, so get that and get it all figured out. This side here is complete. Now the goal is not to have a perfect A-frame, because we won't, because of the angle of the cable and the trees. I just want enough of an angle that when the snow hits, that's what I'm wanting. Now it's obviously going to build up a little bit. And then I have put additional support beams in here. As we get farther back, that cable gets more towards the center. And this here, that's a little low there, so I might need another. Well, I don't know if I need another one there or not, because on the inside, I'll show you, I've got bracing right here. I've got a log framework. So it will weigh a little bit here, and I can always I'm going to pull back some of the pins over here and try to get it a little more taut. I don't want it super tight due to the fact that it's got to have some give in it. Right there was a low spot there, and one here. So, oh yeah, I can take and move that, put a pin in there, and move that another 5 inches farther away from the tent. So I'll do that and get that side all done. This other side, I'm still working on. In the front, I've taken strings from the windows on the back tent and tied it down to try to get a little more strength in this front here so it doesn't peel back. And the goal is, again, it's not going to be snowing every day for the next 3 months, but when it does snow, we want to take the pressure off the tent, even though there will be bracing inside of it. Put a lot of the weight on here, and then also allow that snow, what will slide down, to slide down, and the warmth of the air getting up underneath there and around will help it melt off quicker after the snow. Here's the bracing I'm speaking about. I've got 2 small posts notched into the framework, and then 2 bracing across. Also the doorway between the 2 tents, I've got framework on both sides. And then down the center of both tents we'll have ridge post. And here's another framework there. I don't have anything on this side, but I will have the supporting post pushing up on the roof. On the front here, on this corner, I have bracing on both sides as well. This side, not as crucial, and I will probably pull that, and I will move that to the other side just to add more support somewhere, since I've already got a frame built whenever I start working on this side over here. Now, none of you will ever do anything like this. Put two wall tents together and put a giant tarp over top of them so you don't have to take them down in the winter. However, if you're looking for a good quality tarps, tarps.com is the place to go. They have poly tarps, vinyl tarps, mesh tarps, canvas tarps, clear tarps, all-purpose economy tarps, camouflage tarps, and a lot more. So, again, thank you to tarps.com for providing us the 40 by 40 silver tarp, so we don't have to take our tents down, and we can come up anytime if we so choose to, since we do have a portable heater inside. Okay, so I've got this other side now complete. It's a little more obstacle induced than the other side. We've got two trees here, and then I had our storage tent, and I drug it up underneath to kind of act as a little barrier, help shed some of that off. Did the same back here, but instead of using peg or the tent stakes, I've got a tree there, and I have a tree over there by that bicycle. And then on this side here, I've got a big heavy piece of birch, got a pallet, and I do have multiple tent stakes on this side, and another big heavy piece of birch there. And then that ladder there, if I'm unsuccessful next week at getting a deer, that ladder will lay right there to add support there. So I've done about everything I can do. I won't have the stove going next week. I do have a propane heater with a CO2 monitor on it, so that'll be fine. And then I'll move that one bracing from that side back over in the big tent. So a big thanks to tarps.com for providing us this 40 by 40 silver tent, or the tarp to go over our tent. It will do the job that we have intended for it. This week it's going to get super cold, so all of this will freeze. It's going to get -6 up here, so everything, all the pegs will freeze in the ground. And very happy with the results. Didn't quite turn out the way I had it in my mind, but this will do the job just fine. Well, thank you so much for being a part of Muzzleloader Camp. Oh, really disappointed we didn't see anything. I really wanted to be done, but I'll come up here next week and give it one more shot on Friday night and Saturday, and then that's going to be all for the year. Got two. Very fortunate. Good Lord let me have two. See if next week he'll let me have one more, or that's all and done. So, until next time, thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, let's put 0, just the numeral, in the comments, because we didn't get any deer. 0. And I will see you again.